Come in, Mrs. Hudson. Come today at your convenience. Bledsoe awaits with the equanimity of a ring-tailed lemur in a room of rocking chairs. There will be conditions, but you won't mind that, I suspect. J.F. The elusive Bledsoe run to earth. I suppose we must see him eventually, though my hopes are not high.
Farthington has taken some trouble. We shouldn't be discourteous.
Come along, Watson. The game's afoot.
Quite so, Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, may I present Mr. Philip Bledsoe? I leave you alone. Mr. Holmes, please remember your pledge. No badgering. Thank you for seeing us, Mr. Bledsoe. Thank Farthington, I was dragooned. I'm sorry you feel coerced. Spare me the pleasantries and state your business. Fair enough. On my brother's behalf, I'm looking into the disappearance of Professor Dewar's formula from the ministry. You can prove your bona fides, I presume. When did you last look at Dewar's formula? I never saw it. I checked it out, but I didn't break the seal. I returned it. The clerk will verify my account. Regrettably, Mr. Pratt can supply no such thing, which is one of the reasons we're talking. But never mind. Please be responsive to the original question, Mr. Bledsoe. If I want bullying, I can go to the Gadfly. I checked it out because I take my duties seriously. I'm behind in my document reading. Very commendable, I'm sure. I assume you know that Pratt was found murdered. Do you know where we might find any of his associates or Mrs. Ratchet? Now you're on to something. Why do you say so? I've had thoughts about those two. They were both on duty when I went home. I know nothing of his social set, but Pratt's fondness for bathhouses is well known. Local ones, I should think. What about Mrs. Ratchet? The woman lives somewhere out east. Radicals all over the place. In other words, you know nothing about either one. Presumably you know my brother has been hospitalized. Yes. I suppose the investigation will be indefinitely postponed. Your concern is touching. The explosion that injured him was no accident. I had nothing to do with it, I assure you. I hope not. The attempt on his life was related to the formula's theft. I had nothing to do with that either, if there was a theft. Don't be quite so literal, Mr. Bledsoe. I'm asking for your help. Certainly you see now that these events are related. The termination of the inquiry into the theft is necessarily connected to them both. That wasn't my idea. I'm innocent of initiating anything that might be construed as criminal. That narrow view will cause you grief someday, Mr. Bledsoe. Perhaps sooner than you think. Why did you vote to terminate the committee's investigation into the theft? The government can't tolerate another scandal. Charges of incompetence and lack of security are terribly damaging. A theft hadn't been proved. Why advertise the worst? I certainly don't need the aggravation. Gutter Press would have a field day. There is more at stake here, sir, than your personal comfort. That's right. Twist my words. I only meant that things go missing all the time and they turn up none the worse. Everyone except your brother was in favor of dropping the investigation, at least temporarily. If not yours, whose idea was it to quash the investigation? It might have been Lawton. Or perhaps Silverbridge. One or the other. It's awkward to find you via Farthington. Where might we reach you if the need arises? I like to present a moving target to my enemies, Mr. Holmes. Never stay in one place too long. Scurrilous news hounds are always trying to corner me. Until this blows over, you should consider me unavailable. Waters is still the image of incivility. I wonder that Farthington keeps him on.
A competent clerk may be hard to find. Then again, some people tolerate abusive behavior better than others.
Questions, Watson?
Does it seem to you that security at the ministry is not everything it might be?
It seems that security there is nothing it ought to be.
No use crying over spilt milk, I suppose.
Right. Wait till it turns rancid, then gag on it.
Merde!
May I purchase a packet of matches for my pipe?
Matches is gratis for my customers and back. Smoking tobacco's a filthy habit. I sell alcohol here. If you don't want to drink, take a hike.
I smell something strange. Perhaps I'll just walk back there.
And I'll tear you a new ear hole. Entrance is by special permit only. You ain't welcome. Seamen, sailors and their friends. That's who I cater to.
Did you know Thomas Pratt?
Not by name. Who sent you?
Nobody sent us.
I don't want nobody here that nobody sent. Damnation, blast and bloody hell. Nosy persons giving me ulcers. Damned if they don't.
I could ask the authorities to take an interest in your establishment.
Wait till Tuesday. The number 3 from the Scotland Yard is here with his secretary. Never misses. Now take a hike before you hurt yourself.
Shovel!
The macaw is surprisingly accomplished. They're usually less verbal than African greys.
His vocabulary would cause a libertine to blush.
He's a mimic, not a moralist.
Given this unwholesome menu, I'm not surprised he's capable of vulgarity in multiple languages.
His training, though limited, may be instructive.
Merde!
Won't be a moment, gentlemen. The sample portraits are my calling cards. Feast your eyes and help yourselves.
Mr. Hargrove, my name is Holmes. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
I never haggle over price. You may check my book for an available sitting.
Thank you, no. I merely require some information.
Mr. Humes, is it? Information is not my business. I am an artist.
You're too modest, sir. You may know much to my purpose. Do people still sit for daguerreotypes in this day and age?
It's time-consuming, of course, but many of my discerning clients prefer the unique positive image. A daguerreotype is an unreproducible jewel of unmatched clarity.
I saw the portrait you did for my friend, Lord Lawton, and his fiancée.
And you were impressed. They are a handsome couple, are they not? Might I do the same for you and your intended?
Not at the moment. Do you use gold chloride to tone your paper?
Never. My printing out paper is unique, sir. The finest Godin gelatin silver. But instead of chloride, I use another salt. I trust you're not going to become a competitor.
Most studios now use the collodion development process, do they not?
They do, and I say let them. I provide choices. My unique collodion technique produces distinctively excellent results which cannot be imitated by any jackass who calls himself a photographer.
Is not all collodion development basically the same? Phenol to reduce, sodium sulfite for control, and the thiosulfate solution to fix.
Excuse my snorting. Your ignorance is common. I won't divulge my methods, but I will say, for example, that cyanide in skilled hands is a better fixative than thiosulfate could ever be.
Where do you keep duplicate negatives?
I have no storage facilities.
What if Lady Lockridge were to lose or damage hers?
A truly skillful photographer could achieve something with the positive, but that's beside the point. You had other business with me.
I believe I've happened upon a sample of your work, Mr. Hargrove.
You're a collector, then? I'll have to number you among my admirers, Mr. Holmes.
The name is Holmes, Sherlock Holmes.
I've heard that name, I'm sure. What do you have?
You've been playing a very dangerous game, Hargrove, and I intend to put you out. You'll want more privacy, I think. Let's go and back.
You have no special privileges here. Go peddle your ridiculous accusations elsewhere, or I shall call the police.
No, Mr. Hargrove. The tables have turned. I may call them myself. Remark, Watson. Pornography is so predictable.
That is a libelous characterization. I am an artist.
We won't argue the point now. Let's just say you're an idiot. Mr. Hargrove, I'm in a position to do you very little good and a great deal of harm.
Is that intended as a warning?
It is simply a fact. Remember it as we speak.
If you insist, Mr. Holmes, I shall try. It must queue up as one of many urgent claims on my memory.
Given his penchant for self-promotion, why is none of his work displayed?
Perhaps it is too artistic for exhibition.
True, salacious subject matter thrives on reputation, but it requires occasional viewing. Perhaps he keeps his naughty bits secreted away, as young boys hide French postcards. I wish to see the contents of this cabinet. Will you give me the combination?
I never use it. Really, I can't recall the last time I put anything in there. I forget things, you see. They disappear. In all the excitement, I've forgotten it completely. It may come to me, but I doubt it.
It's likely he has recorded the combination to the safe. If you can suggest where, we might escape another of his lies.
I've no idea. Why do you think he's recorded it?
Because I think he inadvertently told us something true. He said his memory is bad. I suspect it is. He has no reason to lie about it. Whose telephone number have you kept? Is it Scarrett's?
Please, Mr. Holmes, I beg you.
If you expect me to care, you'll have to say more.
I cannot. I will not.
You face ruination and prison, and still you will not help yourself. Who is capable of causing such fear? Not Scarrett, I think. Silence will neither serve nor save you, Hargrove. When I find this fiend, and I will, I'll let it be known that you betrayed him. Central Exchange? This is the Lord Mayor's office. A document here requires urgent delivery, but I only have the party's telephone number. Can you supply me with the address, please? Holborn 232. That's just beyond the viaduct, is it? Thank you. Mystery importing indeed. Has anything escaped me, Watson?
I should think so, Holmes. If Hargrove is a central figure in this debacle, worry the slime. Torture would be too good for him.
Has anything escaped me, Watson?
I should think so, Holmes. If Hargrove is a central figure in this debacle, worry the slime. Torture would be too good for him.
No doubt your avocation is more lucrative than conventional portraiture.
My business is hardly your concern.
To your misfortune, Hargrove, you and what you are pleased to call your business have become obsessions. Watson, you might ring Lestrade. Tell him to bring a warrant for this reprobate. We're dealing with a habitual criminal, traitor, pornographer, and who knows what else.
Hold on now, you're not the police. Don't be hasty.
For whom did you make this copy, Hargrove?
That's not my work.
Nonsense. You are accused and convicted from your own mouth. I recovered this from a foreign agent, Hargrove. You are at least a dupe, and perhaps a traitor.
That's abusive language. I'll advise my solicitor to take steps, or I may seek satisfaction myself.
Observe, I am not petrified. Your threat has less bite than a cuttlefish. Watson, don't let Mr. Hargrove hurt himself attempting something foolish. Your distinctive fixing process made you suspect, Hargrove. Your unique printing out paper indicted you.
Others may use the same combinations, not as well, of course.
I believe that under special circumstances, traitors may still be hanged.
We could, perhaps, explore the possibility that I may have been compelled to do something a bit beyond legal, but I'm not a traitor.
Who hired you to copy the formula?
I will not respond while under duress.
You have misread your role, Hargrove. You will dictate no terms. I can make duress a permanent condition of your life. Cooperation may win you consideration. Change your act now, or I will take you down.
Perhaps I've been hasty, Mr. Holmes. But I am terribly frightened. I'm actually a victim in this travesty. Honestly, I didn't wish to do wrong. A lout named Scarrett brought the original document to me and demanded I make a copy.
He's a fat man? Middle-aged? Fair?
No, he's a young blade, dark as an Italian, the eyes of a bipedal predator, and fond of the poppy, I noticed.
You were well paid for your work?
Not a farthing. Money was not offered nor requested. I was forced by other means.
Of all the photographers in London, why were you chosen for this task?
A crisp image of a printed page is not easy. The subject matter added to the difficulty. I have a certain reputation.
Not one you'd like your mother to hear of, I'll wager. You said you were compelled. How? By whom?
These people are savages, Holmes. I can say no more. It was as I'm telling it. Take my word for it.
Not likely. I'm sure you sport the type of vices that make you an easy mark for a blackmailer.
Fine. Let's say some of my more adventurous photographs fell into the wrong hands.
I wonder Scarrett did not request a daguerreotype. He might at least have made a pretense of selling a unique copy.
He rejected my suggestion. Ignorance, I imagine, insisted on the collodion, wanted the negative.
Obviously, but for what purpose? The Prussian would have wanted exclusivity. Perhaps Scarrett intends to sell the formula more than once. Perhaps you kept a copy, thinking you might do some business on your own.
Only the strongest compulsion could make me violate my ethical standards.
Oh, please, your lies are lame, and even your excuses have peg legs. How did you inform Scarrett that the photograph was ready?
He returned at an appointed time.
I think not. He didn't want you to think the work was urgent. No, you telephoned him. That was his idea. He'd want as little exposure as possible. What is his telephone number?
Perhaps I did telephone him, but the number has slipped from my memory. I'm quite remiss in that department.
Please connect me to Holborn 232. I beg your pardon. Wrong number. Someone is there, Watson.
Excellent.
Are you ready to proceed, Doctor? The case increases in interest.
And in danger, I imagine. Should the police be notified?
I'd rather circulation of the stories of the ministry theft and the extortion involving a royal person be severely restricted.
Perhaps Hargrove should be immobilized. I wouldn't want Major Mystery or Scarrett prepared for our arrival.
No, Hargrove has parted company with the Major. If he follows his form, the Major will demand swift and violent retribution for the betrayal. Lestrade affords him the only protection he can expect this side of heaven. He won't do anything that might alienate the institution that can protect him. Do we understand one another, Hargrove?
Perfectly. I never saw the formula or the royal person. You were never here. Give me the telephone. Perhaps Lestrade could find me a private cell while his office undertakes a lengthy investigation into an accusation of pornography. I'll suggest it.